I think the industry has evolved during and after the pandemic in multiple ways. I think number one, we've had to be very agile. I think we've had to react super fast to the changes that it brought. And I think that was the biggest challenge. It brought so many varied changes to our industry, and we never knew how long they would last or when the next one would appear. People don't want to work anymore. They wanted to readdress their work-life balance. And we had to accept it. So we had to look at shift patterns, we've had to look at pay and lots of things like this. So huge amount of evolution. And now, that's part of what we're doing now is to looking, how can we use technology to help immerse with our workforce? How do we use technology today, such as payment methods, ordering methods, things like this?
Hospitality is what we do. We welcome people in our homes and hopefully treat it as people they welcome to our home. We had to adapt that, and we all had to move to a delivery services. Which was very interesting, because a few years ago you would have talked to any serious chef and you would have told them you're going to do delivery food, and they would have laughed it off. And now they are actually asking for it. They see it as a great opportunity. The biggest challenge has really been the staffing and our teams. So as soon as we knew we couldn't operate, it has been the most stressful element, how we could maintain the relationship with our teams, with our people, which have been for a long time with us. And now, of course, during this pandemic, a few people have reviewed their priorities, what they wanted to do, and whether or not they still wanted to work the way we've worked for many years in the hospitality industry. And that has had a big element on us changing the way we look at people, the way we treat people, and the way we recruit, we maintain and grow our team.
So I think now, after the pandemic, where people are insisting on this work-life balance, the industry is having to change. And so what a wonderful opportunity for everybody. Halfway through my career, let's say a halfway point, and I knew something was missing. I'd worked as a stagiaire around France for 20 years. I'd worked in every best restaurant I could get to, but still there was a knowledge gap. And I sought high and low to find something that was attainable. And I did a degree which was similar, but it was a mixture of marketing, HR, gastronomy, and I loved it. And I always say to my professor where I went, that without that I would never have been able to open 14 restaurants. It gave me that knowledge and that confidence, I would say, that I could approach something like that. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity.
It's an amazing idea, always, to start a career in hospitality. I think this pandemic, and also, the pandemic has been an accelerator, but those things were already in motion, where the way we were trained, or certainly my generation, is that we were doing 11 shifts a week, so working 80 hours a week was normal, fairly standard. Actually, people are probably more clever than we are now, and they've changed the way, and I think it's a very, very good thing.
People always ask me, why do you open so many restaurants? But it was about our people. Every single restaurant, including this restaurant, was opened because of our people, giving our people an opportunity to develop themselves. And if we see them working through the ranks, and a great example of that is actually an ex-student of Le Cordon Bleu. He worked with me for, I think it was about 18, 19 years. So he left Le Cordon Bleu, he came as a commis, he worked in a Michelin star with us as a commis. He got to demi chef de partie. Then he came to Park Lane, Galvin at Windows. He became senior chef de partie, junior sous chef, and eventually became a head chef and got his own Michelin star, which he held for 4 years. There were so many barricades, but they've all been removed. And I think as long as you're motivated, hardworking, willing to learn and listen and be inspired, the world literally is your oyster.
So you start with a core team. It's very much bootstrapping, trying to be nimble as much as possible, and then now we're in this position where we are starting to build a strong team with a head office, with HR, with marketing, with learning and development, finance, and always important, the operation, because we plan in the office and we can say, but where we win the war is on the floor, is on the contact with the customers. This is the important step.
My predictions for the future in hospitality will be that customers want to be entertained. You know, we use this word experiential dining, or even, you know, experiential living. You know, when we go to stay in hotels, we're trying to exceed guest expectations all the time, and it's getting harder and harder and harder. Throughout the pandemic, people were so shaken with what has happened. They wanted to go back to simplicity, back to things that were real, back to things that they recognized and felt safe with. So there's space for everything, and I just think that's, you know, terrifically exciting. So I think food, dining out, staying in hotels, hospitality in general is going to become very expensive, because if people are going to do less hours and we're going to pay them more, if we're going to use better technology, that's going to cost. So there's some huge investment going to be required. But what I have seen, you know, after the pandemic, was that people were happy to spend it, but you better be good. I think it's always important to remember the most important things cost nothing, like a warm welcome, remembering people's names, and genuinely thanking people for choosing you. So a mix of old and new.
I think it's a strong evolution from the operators that we need to have, and that is happening. We need to be a lot more flexible into, again, our recruitment and in how we treat people. We need to be a lot more open-minded. We need to provide more training, more growth potential, a lot more respect within the team, and pay attention to all those things. In the next year, it will be interesting to see how this whole staffing issues caused by pandemic, but also Brexit, evolves. I think now what we're looking at, as opposed to previously, it was easy for us to recruit from Europe. And now, because everybody needs a visa, we're recruiting from around the world. We bring people from Latin America quite a lot. We change our optics in there. And no, we have to adapt. But still, I think for every operator in their mind will be how do we have a strong team with us?